Greetings Exiles and welcome back to yet another build guide. Today we have a classic one. It's Archmage Arc Lightning mana stacking build, but this one is elevated to 3.14 standards. We got a lot more damage than ever before, a damage that is so high that you can nuke most endgame bosses in less than 3 seconds. And that's not even the best part. This build uses 7 unique items and 3 rare ones. And our passive tree is very simple. So no matter how bad you are at following builds, there are little to no mistakes you can make while following this one. Alright then, as always, we begin with the Ascendancy. This time around, we are an assassin, for many reasons. The first one is that not only we are stacking mana in this build, but we are also stacking power charges. And as such we will be looking for a way to generate them for us. And we can achieve that by starting with Unstable Infusion. This node gives us +1 power charge and power charge generation mechanism on crit and on non-crit. From here you take Deadly Infusion. We got 10 power charges in this build. This means this node gives us 1.5% base crit and 50% crit multiplier. Next we have Opportunistic. This node is basically an additional 25% more damage against single target bosses. The Reflect Immunity mod is also nice once you achieve 100% crit chance, almost like my version. Lastly, we have Mistwalker. Elusive equals speed, and you will get that for free with this node. It is that simple. Alright, that was it for the Ascendancy. What about your passive tree? Here is what your average passive tree should look like. This one is focused on taking every single power charge node on the passive tree, and every single mana stacking node nearby. After that, you will pick up generic crit and life nodes that happen to be along the way of your pathing. Now once you are level 90 or higher, get yourself one large cluster jewel with caster nodes and add 3 notables minimum. One of these notables must be Seal Mender. This node gives us lots of damage because we are utilizing Unleash mechanic in this build. You can also pick up other strong notables as well, like Sap Psych. This one gives us spell damage and mana regeneration, and both are important for this build. But now with the passive tree and its cluster jewel out of the way, we can start talking about our items. But before that, I wanted to mention a quick note about Archmage. You see, Archmage was nerfed shortly after it was introduced to the game, due to how overpowered it used to be. Also, all items and jewels that used to provide increased mana cost of skills got nerfed alongside that. This meant that you can no longer one-tap bosses by increasing your mana cost to an absurd level like 5000 or higher. And as such, in order to adapt to this change, we need to consider continuous casting of skills that are supported by Archmage. That can only happen with great mana sustain, because we will have to pay around 1600 mana per cast multiple times every second to achieve that. And that's no easy feat to achieve. Thus, once we start talking about items, you will find out that this build is heavily focused around mana regen and stacking as much mana as possible. But with that being said, let us first start by talking about crucial items for the build. We are dual wielding Void batteries for their extra +1 to maximum power charges each. This wand also provides us with some mana, crit chance and cast speed. All that alongside lots of spell damage since we have 10 power charges total in this build. Next on the list we have Essence Worm. This ring is cheap and required to run Wrath Aura for free. We can't afford to reserve half of our mana in a build that gains its damage based on unreserved mana. Next, we have Crown of the Inward Eye Unique Helm. Mine has +1 to maximum power charge corruption implicit, which you should really try to get once you can afford it. The helm alone is very good without the corruption, but with it you will be able to deal much more damage, and it will make this helm better than any mirror tier equivalent rare helm. For our gloves, we have Ascendancy's Gentle Touch. These pair of gloves gives us an equivalent of tier 1 life and tier 1 mana roll, with some intelligence. That alongside Temporal Chain Curse on hit, and 3% physical explode on kill. That will greatly boost our clearing speed despite Arc being already good at that without any explode support. Next for our chest, of course, it's going to be Cloak of Defiance. I tried to replace this one with a mirror tier item, but the 1% maximum mana regen a second is simply too good to pass out on. Basically, until this point, this is your best in slot option. For our amulet, it's Adziri's Foible. Yes, you can try to replace this one with the mirror tier amulet, but you won't feel that much of a difference after all. so might as well just use this one and save yourself currency. After you get one, make sure to anoint Whispers of Doom on your amulet, because we are utilizing a second curse in this build for maximum min-maxing. And speaking about a second curse, our other ring contains Conductivity Curse on hit, life, mana, and mana regen if possible. And from here, any additional resistance roll on the top of all of these mods is something good to have. Next, for our build, we generally need to have as much life, mana, alongside increased mana recovery rate Redeemer mod. Our boots are basically the same thing. We have life, mana, movement speed, and as many resistances as possible. Remember that you are trying to cap your elemental resistances with your 3 rare item slots only. Just make sure to get the 70% mana regeneration lab enchant on your boots once you are done crafting one, because it's essential to sustain the mana cost of rapidly casting Arc Lightning. But with that being said, we are basically done with our items. Now what about gems that goes inside of them? For our main 6 link we have Arc Lightning, Archmage support, Arcane Surge support, Awakened Unleash, Awakened Lightning Penetration, and Power Charge on crit. Power Charge on crit is essential to reach your maximum number of power charges against bosses in a short amount of time. It's until then you will start dealing any real amount of damage. Our next setup is a support 4 link, and it contains Wave of Conviction, Fist to Lightning, faster casting, and increased duration. This setup will reduce enemies' lightning resistance by 25% for around 8 seconds. Use it once before engaging any boss. Our last essential gem setup contains Righteous Fire, level 1 Precision, and level 1 Vitality. Both Precision and Vitality are here to trigger the mods on my Watcher's Eye. If your Watcher's Eye doesn't have any mods that require these auras, then you are going to simply not use them. Instead, you will use whatever gem sockets you have left for any gem setup you want. For example, I have a Cast When Damage Taken setup, and an Arcane Cloak setup that is automatically triggered while I'm moving by assigning it to my left mouse button. Now that we are done with our gem links, let's talk about jewels. As a start, we are using 3 unique jewels. The first one is a Healthy Mind jewel. This one converts all nearby life nodes into mana. Place it into this specific socket to maximize its effect. Now don't worry about not having a sufficiently high amount of life to survive one-shots in this build, because in any mana stacking build, you can mitigate as much damage as possible so long as you have mana. Our second unique jewel is a Militant Faith Timeless jewel. This one should specifically mentions High Templar Dominus. That's in order to convert all nearby keystones into Inner Conviction. Inner Conviction will give you 3% more spell damage per power charge. This will end up being just as good as Pain Attunement at 10 power charges, and you don't have to be at low life for that to take effect. Last but not least, we have a Watcher's Eye. On it you can have some very powerful mods like increased critical strike chance while affected by Wrath, increased critical strike multiplier while affected by Precision, and increased life recovery rate while affected by Vitality, or increased mana recovery rate while affected by Clarity. From here, whatever empty jewel socket you have left is going to be filled with normal jewels. Here is an example of what a good jewel should look like. You should prioritize mana first, and then as many crit multiplier mods as possible. And having life is optional because, as I have said before, as long as you have mana, you are not going to die in this build. This basically means that you are going to save a lot of currency on jewels, because any jewel with no defensive mod on it is going to set you for cheap. Finally, for the Bandit's quest, we are going to help Alira 100%. And that was basically it for this build guide. If you guys have enjoyed this video, then you know what to do. Drop a like, or maybe even subscribe so don't miss out on any future build guide like this one. My name is Phoenix, and I will see you all in the next video.